Hi, this is Andrea Jones. This is my Module 4. Focus is KISA, which I learned from Dr. Watson that I have been calling it Keisha the last 2 years, so obviously I must be saying it incorrectly. So I learned something new today. When looking at the rubric for the 4 R's with the accreditation, I'm kind of basing my findings off of our entire district. I teach in Olathe School District, which is in Kansas, and we're a fairly large district. We have about 30,000 students, and so my evaluation is more looking at our district and not so much our school. When looking through our school, looking at the 4 R's, I would consider us more towards all modeling across the board. I feel like our school is kind of leading, one of the leading schools within our district in the areas of relationship, relevance, responsiveness, and rigor. I kind of feel like we set the bar for those. And we have a clientele within our district. We're on the upper end, economic end, and so I feel like our learning standards are higher compared to some of our other schools within our district. When looking at a couple things that stood out to me, when looking at relationships, a couple areas that I feel like within our district that I think is more transitioning is when looking at the relationships with our families. I feel like that's because we're a diverse district. I feel like that's something that we really need to improve on. And the other areas is the modeling within our teachers. We have not utilized PLCs very well. I feel like at my school we have per grade level, but within our district everyone is kind of, I feel like, on their own agenda and not necessarily following standards, or we're not on a common page. And I've been a transient teacher per my family, and this is the first district that I feel like that we haven't been on the same page. So that's something that I feel like we're growing in. And with that being said, we have a new superintendent who is starting his second year, and I feel like he's very aware of that and has really made that an area of focus for within our district. Other areas that I feel like are in need per district is the responsiveness, the leadership, and again, I feel like that's something that it's established per school and not necessarily per whole district. But I think there's a change in that district climate. I'm hoping in a positive direction. Oh, sorry. And the other thing is looking at KISA. I thought we were in year 3. However, talking to my principal, we are in year 2. My first year here, we were in our 0 year, and so we were just initiating the practices for that. Leadership style, looking at my principal that I have right now, he is mostly transformational, but he has some democratic qualities thrown in. When I say transformational, he has been known within our district to come into schools and basically clean them up, and he has actually done that with ours. He's been at our school for 4 years, so prior to me coming, I was one of his hires. He basically is hired to come in and still change within the staff and kind of create a building culture that isn't there. And the other thing is he's kind of the cleanup. We have almost an entirely new staff. We have about 80 members, and there's only a handful of the originals. The other transformational things, he sets very high standards for us as a building and individually, and he expects that from us and sets us up so that we are reaching those standards. He's also democratic. In the sense of he utilizes our staff and our BLT when we're making building decisions. It's discussed. We look at pros and cons, and then we kind of make informative decisions based off of that. He's very competent and very intelligent, and he's actually very engaged and is up on all the current information, and he's definitely a leader within our district as well. When talking to our principal, the big 3 that we've talked about within our school vision, there are 3 areas. So we said student engagement. We're going to teach to the standards in PLCs. Well, when looking at our district with our school, we are extremely high in student engagement, but that's something always to be mindful of. So when looking at that, we're ensuring instructional practices that are intellectually challenging, authentic to students' experiences, recognize student strengths, and is differentiated and personalized. That is something that we really focus on. The areas of improvement that we're currently working on are teaching to the standards. Unfortunately, within our district, a lot of people teach what they want to teach and what they like, and not necessarily following what our guidelines are, and are interpreting them. Let me just say, are interpreting them in a different direction. So align and focus systems of curriculum, instruction, assessment, both the mission, vision, and core values of the school. And when I'm saying this, I'm looking more district. They embody high expectations for student learning, align with academic standards, and are culturally responsive. So one of the things we have a focus this year, and it goes hand in hand with PLCs, we are using this for PLCs to sustain a professional culture of engagement and commitment with shared vision. We are taking our standards and our PLCs, and we have basically focused on 4 different questions. The first one is we are sharing and we are knowledgeable as a group. What are we teaching? What standards are we teaching to? Second thing is, how are students going to learn this? What activities, what everything are we instructing them with? And how will they? Third is, what happens when a student does not reach those standards or those expectations or those standards? And then what happens when a student has mastered it, and how are we going to advance them? So when looking at our PLCs and collaborating with our standards, that's our vision and our focus this year, and that's something that I think is really important. And coming to my district now, that's something that I've had at other districts, but I currently have not had at this school or within this district. So I think that's something that we are focusing and striving to attain.